Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing? What's going on? What's going on, Bubba? Hey, welcome to Forex.Today. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results, but please always stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. You know what I feel like doing today? Let's do the long disclosure from years past. Let me reach into the tickle trunk and pull out the old disclosure. How's it go? Welcome to today's webinar. Let me remind you that the purpose of this webinar is education. This is not an alert service. I'm not here to make trade recommendations, but I will conduct technical and fundamental analysis, and I'll do so in real time, pip by pip, candle by candle, with the overriding goal of helping you put together trade plans throughout this beautiful New York trading session. If you're trading along with me using a demo account, then regardless of whether your plans are successful or not, you will have an opportunity to learn. Trading and investing is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, however, is not indicative of future results, but please always stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Can you imagine doing that every day for 10 years? Well, let me introduce myself. My name is McDonell. I am the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com. I do these sessions every single day for you, a client of TradersWay, with the overriding goal of helping you become a success sooner than later. Hey, we're a broker. You want to be a trader. Trying to give you life skills, trading skills, market skills, analysis skills, funding skills, so that they translate into your success. Why would we do that? Right? Well, we want you to trade every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year, year after year, year after year. And if you're successful, you'll just keep trading. And since we're a service provider, that allows us to service you, and we earn income from that service. And you're making profits, and you're earning income maybe from your investors. It's a great relationship. Symbiotic. What happens to most brokers is a client pops in $500 into an account, blows it up, and that's the end of that. Right? If you look at your costs of acquisition, of marketing and advertising to acquire that $500 account, and then he just comes and goes and gone, like, what's the point of that? So why not have a whole bunch of successful clients trading with skill for years and years and years, and growing their account size and growing their lot size? And I think it's a much better business model, isn't it? I mean, I hope you don't mind me being so frank and open and honest. But what else? Right? So anyways, good to have you here. If you haven't opened an account to TradersWay.com, please do that. I do these sessions 7:30 in the morning every single day, Monday through Friday, for you. Now, once a month, I'm over at FX Street for Trading on Par Payrolls Live. Been doing that, what is it, 11 years or 12 years? 11 years. Been doing that 11 years. Cool. Right on. You guys want to do some technical analysis today? I think I got to do this. Please confirm you see a chart. So, life is great, life is grand, life is good, yeah. Haven't seen a German opera in a while. I think I got a craving for German opera. Okay. Yebo. Thank you, Windows. Come on. Gotta drag that off. All right. We good? You good? We good? We all good. All right, this is Pig Dog. What did we discuss yesterday? I believe we discussed after the news, dropped like a ton of bricks. But our target here is 128 and some change, 128.30. We also highlighted this area here. They used to be support. So using price action theory, what is supposed to happen next after a lower low? No, not an HH, an LH. Pullback. Hammock if you want. Let me ask you something. You see at the top here, and we discussed this Monday, we discussed it again on Wednesday. If you're a bear, you're required by law to sell it at that price, right? Otherwise, you're just simply not a bear. Right? Could you also count that as a double top? Okay, faux show. All right, so let's assume you didn't trade the double top. Let's say you expect it to be a double top, and you're waiting for a lower low to confirm bearish price action, because a failure to make a higher high isn't necessarily bearish. But a failure to make a higher high, then make a lower low, that is bearish, right? So how do you trade that? Roll reversal, wait for a retrace and sell. Fib, sure. Is there a secret word? Ryan says 21 EMA. Yeah, same thing. One, two, three. Yeah. I accept that. Hammock. Ryan's got the hammock. Yup. So all of those things, right? Like, it is predictable, isn't it? Oops. All those things are important, especially if you think it's coming down to 1230 or sorry, I can't quite see that. 128.30 to 127.80. So let's just call it, if you think it's heading down to 128.0000000, so good. If that's what you have, I mean, if you had a plan, then that's quite believable, right? Cool. Just want to make sure you're on the clue train, right? Now, in this time frame, one could leave themselves a memento to say that's what they think is going on. Right? Is there another tool you could use for such an analysis besides a channel? La 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 la. A Pegler pitchfork, maybe? Oh snap! Boop, but da 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 da. Now that's hot. Now, here's the thing. I don't really use Andrew's pitchfork, so I don't want to pawn it off as something that I am an expert at. But one thing I do know is that those who have studied Andrew's pitchfork, and I learned this from David Pegler, who studied Andrew's pitchfork before I taught him my style of trading. And so the one thing that he told me is that there are certain percentages of, the likelihood of it coming back and touching, like if you're here, the probability of it hitting this, and if you're here, that kind of stuff. If it's a downtrend in here, the probability going down. So it helps with probabilities. I just don't know what the probabilities are. But I know if it's making lower lows and lower highs and lower lows to sell lower highs. I mean, and if it was up here, it's probably less bearish than it used to be, right? But I like to leave myself momentum, and this just says, don't buy it here, son. Right? That's all. That's all it means to me. It's heading down, yo. But that's important, though. It is. Okay, take a look. Now, I want to remind you, as this was going up, okay, as this was going up, in particular in here, we talked about it coming up to this area and dropping. So yesterday we thought that it possibly could drop, but now it's really, I'm just reaffirming. I know you know, but I'm trying to reprogram your brain, right? God forbid you spend a fortune on going to a fancy school with world famous professors and Nobel Prize winners that convince you that this is impossible to predict. God forbid. Because you might believe those fools, huh? That's where you say, well, is that why you got into academia, sir? Because you couldn't predict the market? Gee whiz, you have 16 years of higher education and you can't predict anything? That must be frustrating. You must be very frustrated, sir. Yeah. By the way, I gotta go. I gotta pick up another Ferrari. I didn't like the last one. It wasn't fast enough. So then I got the super fast one. But then I want a convertible. You just gotta have a Spider, right? I mean. So anyways. So here's oil. And if you remember back here, where you see this drop, the conversation at that moment was, if you were a bear, you would sell it there. You had the 21, you had the pivot point, everything's good in hood, except fundamentally I don't really expect it to fall any farther than $44.30. Now we drove it from $54 to $44, and then we weren't so sure. So it's very interesting how this reminds you, or should remind you, that there's more to trading than technical analysis. Right? That there are other things in play. Now the technicals are obviously important, but the fundamental side is, when price gets to a certain level, it will affect other market participants' behavior. And in this case, OPEC needs to do something to stabilize prices. And believe you me, they're incentivized to do something. Even if it's nothing real, send out a press release, do an interview on TV, do something, right? And so anyways, you know, again, lots and lots of coincidences today, right? Drove it down to our support line. It hit it, bounced, stopped, and even broke the moving averages. See, on Monday, there was nothing to indicate that this 21 would break, would it? Nothing. And this is the pivot. So I think if you did your job as a technical analyst, you would have sold here. And of course, you can see you would have lost money, and it's not a bad trade. It just really isn't. You did your job. Okay? But let me ask you something too, technically. Technically. Are there any swing traders? Anybody here take the swing trading course? Two people? Anybody else? Three? Okay. All right. Okay, good. 3 or 4 or 5 people. When you see a scenario like this, what kind of setup does it predict based on swing trading analysis? Pete says counter trend. Yeah, Anthony says reversal, but the answer I'm looking for is counter trend. Yeah. So in that course, there's 2 scenarios for a counter trend. That'd be one of them if you're a pirate. If you're a pirate, that'd be one of them. So just kind of interesting. And of course, if you wanted this would be your buy zone. The thing is, buying into falling moving averages is a really tricky thing. You better be very confident in what you do. You better have something on a higher time frame, or I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Hold it low. Cool. So, I don't know, back to the range. And I think we did talk about, wouldn't this be interesting if it went back to 55 or 54? Well on its way, but... And just, I guess I'm following up with my own thoughts. Didn't we also talk about peak oil on its way in the next few weeks? Our June 1st target or expectation of drawdowns. And if it's not at $44 a barrel, then where would the bottom be? Now, that's alpha. That doesn't necessarily put you in a trade, but the alpha is the thought. The alpha is the strategy. The alpha is the analysis, right? Where you're like, okay, oil's just fallen $10 a barrel. However, based on your analysis of historical oil inventory data in the United States, you expect in the near future a peak in these inventories at the beginning of a possible drawdown despite the fracking. And we're at record highs in inventories. So if there are things like OPEC cuts, then maybe we'll export more of that oil in Cushing, Oklahoma, which would draw down those inventories. Or maybe refineries will increase their purchasing of oil to make gasoline for the summer driving season. And with all that being said, OPEC just is desperate for this to go up anyway. So there's always the outside chance that they do something simply to drive up prices. So with all that coming in the next, let's say, 6 weeks, even 4 weeks, if not at $44, then at what price? Okay? You see what I mean? That's the thought process. So imagine you work for me and you are on my team. We might have, team meetings where we get into a big conference room. There's a piñata and tequila. And no. We get into a conference room and we talk about global macroeconomics. We talk about OPEC. Maybe we send someone to OPEC meetings, and that kind of stuff. And we sit around the table and we say, okay, well, what do we think is going to happen in the next 3 months? What's the trend now, but what could it be then? What could it be later? And I think that's where the success would come from, right? Erica asked a question with language from my book. Centripetal, all you're doing is trading against the market. And so the price action would be the same, except the expectation would be lower. Okay? Because if you're trading up, it's gonna be, the 21 will be respected. You don't know if it's going to break. In fact, you think it has a high probability of falling. And then the same thing, it's going to run into trouble around the 55. So, if you're doing centripetal trading, then you would expect these to be little areas to at least move your stop or whatnot, take profit, let it move, come back, well, that kind of thing. Right? And what you're supposed to be doing now is deciding if it comes back to this area, do you buy it? Okay? Now, someone who bought it on Monday, despite all of this, maybe they saw something else in a higher time frame or a lower time frame for that matter. Their expectation is that they wanted this to go to $50.70. Okay, but certainly $50 a barrel. That's what their expectation on Monday was. Okay. Now it's just possible that we're being held down by the daily 21. Okay. And this 200 is trying to mimic that. Okay. The 200 on the 4 hours trying to mimic that daily. So in this time frame, it's saying, hey man, today's high might just be $49.33. Okay, Erica? And so maybe you let it drop and then pop it up here. And maybe on a smaller time frame, Erica, you're not centripetally trading. Okay? Because now, in this case, the moving averages are, well, sort of working for you anyways. Certainly less against you. Okay? Look at this CAD, man. Did nothing for the week. Even though it's been up for 5 weeks in a row, we create a top for it. On Monday, I'll remind you, we say, oh, it ain't going to go up anymore. Actually, the language that I used is it would double top. Okay? And we missed it by 8 pips, maybe 10 pips. 137.87. Is that right? 137.87. And this top was 137.69. So 70. All right, 18 pips. Right? But isn't that neat? Right? In the sense that know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And this one's sort of like a fold. You're not, you're not running, but you're certainly not expecting it to rally up further. And do you guys remember what created this whole thing? Do you remember what the heads up was? Like, why would we say this huge rally that's been going for 5 weeks straight, why would it stop? What was the cusp of the alpha? Not oil, but it's somewhat related, right? Because if it's going from 44 to 54, this pair should fall. Okay, good. But that's not what we saw. We saw something on this chart. A slowdown in trend. Oh, yeah, hang on. This doesn't let me. Because to the 55. Yes. Yes, the 55. So here's what happened on Monday. We opened up the chart, and I saw a price here. So I said double top. Just like that. It's pretty remarkable if you think about it. Do you know how long it took me to figure that out? I mean, not this, like that took me less than 1 second. Now imagine yourself, you want to learn how to trade Forex. There's no books on Forex, there's no videos on Forex, and any other resource out in the Forex world were basically scumbags and scam artists, right? Okay, good. So you're on your own, trading in your home office in the middle of the night. Charts don't even come with your trading platform. And you have to teach yourself technical analysis, except you've never seen a chart. And no one you know has seen a chart. And you talk to professional investors, and they laugh at you when you say technical analysis, like laugh in your face, like you're a ridiculous fool. How long does it take you to figure this out on your own? Yeah. Yeah, and are they easy years? Yeah. You know, I'm an entrepreneur, which means I'm too stupid to give up. I have something they call foundersitis, right? Where when every sane person would give up and quit, because you're out of money, you're out of time, you're out of whatever, and you got 2 feet in the grave, right? And you're still working on stuff. You're still working on a business plan. They're like, dude, we're trying to bury you. Will you just lay down? No, wait. There's still a chance. You're like, hey, is there internet in this grave? Because as long as I got my laptop, I can trade. So anyways, yeah, blood, sweat, and tears for years. So just through crazy focus, I learned to do things like, oh, double top. Right? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, we got some daily pivots, huh? Wow, old school. I don't want to do peso, wrong time of the month. How about this one? Sell zone up here on Monday. Expected target, green zone, which essentially tells you to stop trading, but can suggest to others that you trade it back. Doesn't necessarily have to be true. Well, Peter, here's what I found over the years, Peter. If I focus on daily, our timing has to be exact for me to, I don't know, like show you how to trade it, but it never really works out that way. So, you know, having done like FX Bootcamp for 10 years, what I found is this. We look at a trade setup, on, let's say daily pivots and stuff. We sit around, I'm like, okay, we're 45 minutes away from an entry, maybe. 45 minutes goes by, okay, we got the Stokes cycle, now I need a pullback. Another 45 minutes goes by, and click. You know, and like, so we sit around like for, it could be 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and it's like, click. I mean, dude, you don't need me for that, right? So it's better if I have a small amount of time with you to focus on the bigger kind of moves. But you certainly, if you're sitting here for 4 or 5 or 6 hours, certainly you can get yourself into some decent trades, especially if you have a general idea of direction in the market. So are they worth looking at? Absolutely, sure. You know? Yeah. 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 I like it all, man. I like it all. Hang on. Ryan's got to ask a big, detailed question. I can't even see the full chat. Hang on. Blah, 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 blah. Can we chat about the dollar index? Analysts are selling based on technicals. Today the Dixies are the weekly target, so I decided not to buy the dollar. Well, you got to remember the dollar index is a basket. So, you know, it's hard to say, like, look at one or the other and say it has to do this or has to do that. So, like, the pound dollar can fall, but the dollar index doesn't move. So all that tells me is you should have been shorting the pound. And maybe it was pound, yeah, maybe it was pound Swissy you should have been trading. But it's not necessarily just Dixie. And by the way, if you're looking at, like, the Dixie, you know, the standard one, the one that's based on futures market and stuff, it's heavily euro. So you're kind of looking at euro USD. If you're looking at the FXCM product, then that is a equally weighted basket. But you know, but remember, it's focused on dollar, not pound. So Dixie could go up and pound dollar could go up, and all it tells me is the pound is stronger than the dollar. You know, so I don't know, it's not, I mean, I wouldn't say ignore it, but you don't have, so remember, everything's an assumption. So if you expect the dollar index to fall, that's your assumption, that's your alpha, that's your, you know, idea, trading idea, and then you can lay in wait like a sniper in the grass in the ghillie suit. And you either get the shot or you don't. Okay? But I would watch Dixie, and if you saw Dixie was heavy, meaning closer to resistance, like to fall, then you go pick your victim. Right? You're like, man, dollar's going to fall, or your dollar index is going to fall, so maybe you think, pound yen or a pound dollar goes up, or euro dollar goes up, or USD yen falls, whatever, and you trade it in the currency market, not the other way around. All right? Yeah. What do you think? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we had set this up as a potential buy zone. I don't see any analysis here, though. Maybe it was a week ago. No? Because my computer was kind of dead. I thought we did this, but anyways, notice we came up, we already covered this once or twice, but hit our monthly target, dropped instantly. So this is an opportunity to reprogram your brain really somewhere. You need to connect some synapses. It was Tuesday, was it? So you got to connect some synapses here. This is really what you're trying to do. Reprogram your brain from whatever it was to something new. And it actually happens. Your brain actually physically changes and rewires itself. So you should really focus and learn and print this out and draw it and do all kinds of things to try to physically change your brain. But it's is this an opportunity for it to head back up? It might be. Is this the oscillator you're looking for? Yeah, it might be. Is it risky doing this back into monthly targets? Yeah. Right? You're sort of doing the trade you should have done 3 weeks ago, right? Now. So, but still, as long as you recognize that, then you can at least pay attention. And then the next thing is, if you did long this, let's say this is good enough for you, looks like it wants to go up. We're obviously in a role reversal. The angle of separation between the 5/8 is diminishing, right? So you cut the corner, right, and you could be trading these cycles now. Is there an opportunity back on here? Where's resistance? Okay. Next resistance is up in here at 78.50. Where are we now? 77.80. If that's the case, will you have an opportunity to move your stop to break even before hitting this challenge? Because if you're wrong, it's going to lower high, right? And where's the resistance? Well, wouldn't it be there? Like what else would you think, right? Oh, maybe the 21? Yeah, well, look at the 21. It's a dog with fleas, right? So if you're wrong, that's how you're likely to be wrong. Right? Wrong, right? That's right. So if you're up in here, look, you'll be up 50 or 60 pips. Maybe it's time to jam a stop or lock in some profit and hope it does a dipsy-do this way. Okay? And what's the likelihood? Ask yourself now and then revisit it next week to see how it looks. If it fails now, how did the monthly pivot points come into play? You understand? You really need to look at your trading as an educational opportunity. You need to experiment. And by experiment, I don't mean randomly try a bunch of things. What I mean is scientific methodology. Okay? Make a small change, test it, measure the change, adapt, right? Test, measure, adapt, test, measure, adapt. So these are really smart questions that you should be asking yourself, and then going back and analyzing. In a scenario like this where you've hit weekly and monthly targets, what happens? And then in a scenario where you're back into a buy zone in said bullish market achieved, target achieved market, how does it behave in the following week? Do you get a second chance? Does it break these levels? Or is this the beginning of a 100-day drop? Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, even though these yen pairs have been up for a month, didn't we talk about this being highly likely that it's a false rally? And that there's a decent possibility that this comes all the way back down between now and the end of summer? Was that discussed openly in public with English as the primary language? Nobody's know for sure? Do you remember the first part of the rally? It gapped. I traded the gap and made like 250 pips on one pair and 150, I think, on a second pair and another on a third pair. Now, it's up several hundred pips more than those moves now, but I believe we talked about that even though I'm making money, I don't expect it to go up for the rest of the year. That this isn't the yen move because it's the wrong time of the year based on seasonality, right? Does anybody remember that whole discussion? Because in the first day I was at break even, and the second day I was up like 100 pips per trade, and then it was like the third or fourth day, or maybe by the end of the week, I had the 600 pips or whatever it was, and we're like, I'm going to get out at last month's monthly target because I don't believe this is going up forever. This is not the move of the year, and that it should or may or likely or probably will come back down. And don't be shocked if we give it all back. And so this could be the beginning of that, where we hit the monthly target in May, and the RBNZ, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Well, let me ask you this. Has anybody here gone to the RBNZ website and read their analysis about their outlook for their own economy? Anthony says yes last night. Pete says yes. Get Erica, I'll do that for you. Okay? So, look, you need to have a heart-to-heart with yourself. If you don't do these things, maybe it's you that's holding you back from your success. Maybe it's you. Right? There's a book coming out, and I think it's called, one of the Harvard professors wrote it, and I think it's something like that. The title's like, maybe it's you, cut the crap, get your game together, cut the crap, something, but whatever. Just like, dude, it's you. So if you want to solve your problems, you need to solve these problems, right? It's like, you want to be a successful Forex, and every day, every week, month after month, year after year, I'm like, dude, just go to the website, get the analysis, develop an opinion, and start trading that opinion. And you're like, no, not today, I'm busy. Oh, no, I got to walk the dog. No, I got to wash my car. I got to mow the lawn. No, I got to barbecue with my friends. Oh, I got family over. Oh, yeah, there's always something, right? I want to be a success, but, it's really inconvenient. I think you need to have a business planning retreat with yourself. I'd call it a market research group. You know what you should do? This is crazy. You ready for this? Book yourself into a 5-star hotel for 2 nights over the weekend. But you know what? That would be too busy. Go in a quiet. Go in like a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And go in with the Market Wizards audio. Don't even read. It's too hard. Get the audio series. I have them on like DVDs or something. Not CDs. I have them on CDs. It's amazing. I'm surprised I don't have them on tape. And listen to the old original one, right? And just listen to what successful traders do and think. Right? And it's the first one I'm thinking of, obvious, and we talk about it a lot. But one of the guys, he makes millions of dollars per month. And this is like 1980. You know what $1 million was in 1980? It was $1 million. But you know what you could buy with $1 million? It was 1980, so a lot of cocaine, right? But besides that, $1 million was a lot of money. I know it's hard to believe, but $1 million was a lot of money. But anyways, he, without fail, discipline, he would, without fail, every single day, did the laborious, unexciting work, filling out a spreadsheet. And he was honest about it. As long as he filled out a spreadsheet and set up his trades for the next day. So the idea was he would do whatever analysis that he needed to do, right? Fill it all out, crunch it all out, and he would set up his trades for the next day, and then he would leave. And in the morning, he'd walk in, on his desk were the trades he was going to do that day. As long as he did that, without fail, he would succeed. And he was frightened to be, his worst fear, for example, would be distracted and not do the work. And then it just give everything away, because now you're just, what you're trading based on, right? So imagine every single day you did that, or every single week you set up your swing trades. Right? Without fail. Every Sunday you're there without fail. Your whole life is rearranged around Sunday afternoon. Because that's when it opens for me, right? What if you were like that and you just knew? Maybe some weeks don't work your way. Some weeks don't give you trades. Some weeks you lose a little bit. But over the course of an entire year, you do way better. And as long as you do the work, you know you're going to make money this year. Enough to provide for your loved ones, right? Pete, it's Market Wizards. All right? Hang on. Oh. Look at it. Yeah. Marty Schwartz. Paul Tudor Jones. Right? So on and so forth. Richard Dennis. You need Turtle Trader, guys. Just look, some of these are not even open. Looks like I got to do some work. Look at this. William O'Neill, The Art of Stock Selection. You should just look at it. I mean, seriously. I think you could probably get through most of this in 48 hours. Yeah, we got retail sales, right? But you know what? I'm insane like that. I would do it if I were me. But I'm crazy. But you have to realize when you're a currency trader and you're trading in the open market, you have to compete against people that are crazier than you. I might out-hustle you. I might do things you just think are impossible. Right? But I don't think it's impossible, so I'll do it. Yeah, so market wizards. I don't think it's impossible. Now, everything else in my life might fall apart. That's why I married a good woman to take care of me. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I do this one thing extremely well, and everything else in my life falls apart. There's a huge mess everywhere. There's a whole pile of dead bodies and dead projects and disaster, chaos. But the one thing I'm working on gets done. I was talking about multitasking the other day. And for me, multitasking is like skydiving and doing your taxes. So that's me, right? I'm jumping off an airplane and then I open my box of receipts. I might pull out my calculator. Damn! It's very difficult to skydive and do your taxes at the same time. All right, so what do you guys want to do? Pig dog? Let's do USD yen. But anyways, the reason I said maybe just, I would pull you out. How much time do we have? How close are we? Oh, we got time. I want you to pull yourself out of your normal day-to-day. You listen to me do technical analysis every day. Great. You listen to me do fundamentals every day. Great. And you know I'll be here on Monday. Cool. So you need to change your environment beyond that. If you haven't found your success yet, you need to continue to challenge yourself. At least you're not like trying everything and randomizing everything. You know you have a strategy in front of you and that works, that analysis that helps you understand the market. You know it's all there. You don't need anything else. Great. Which is very helpful. But what you might be missing is the psychology of it, right? You need to think like a successful trader. And sometimes you just need to change your environment. So how would you feel like sitting in a 5-star hotel, having yourself a nice glass of wine, maybe even smoking a cigar if that's your thing, and just with your headsets on, just for hours, your feet up, and just listening to a trader that trades lumber. Like one of them, though, Marcus whatever, he was one of the largest foreign exchange traders in the world. Paul Tudor Jones, for example, when he traded oil, would move the market. Okay? And, it's old stuff. It's old, man. They do stuff that doesn't even make sense anymore. But it's like having an old friend, You're like, or it's almost like your experience, where if you think back, you can say, I remember what it was like trading lumber in 1980. And the government came in and removed floors, or added floors, or trade embargoes, and it may not actually directly help you trade this retail sales event coming up, but it just kind of gets you knowledgeable about the history of your industry. Isn't that important too? And some of these guys, you have to give some credit to, they let trades run for a very long time. And I've told you, like, imagine you shorted Euro USD 4 years ago and you're still short. That's what a trend trader is. But then I think some of these guys are stupid too. So you have to disagree with them as well. You're like, what kind of idiot would trade like that? And you develop your own opinion. You're like, I get it, let it run, but do some analysis, bro. Lock in some profit. Do this, do that. I mean, what's your point of view? And I think that, you know, the sooner you get your point of view, maybe the sooner you'll be able to trade your point of view. I know, Captain Obvious, right? But, you know, one of the things I've asked you to do is to fall in love with doing the work. Okay, look at that. It doesn't even have. So fall in love with the work, and maybe that's what it'll do. Maybe it's that. Is this one it'll do? Delete. No. Yeah, I can't even find the watermark. All right, so maybe wouldn't that be interesting? Maybe you don't know enough to do a planning retreat or a business plan, whatever. But maybe just do something to say, you know what, I want to be a market wizard too. And what would I do to qualify to be a market wizard? And maybe you're the type of person that goes to the RBNZ website, reads the analysis, creates a bias, and then ends up trading it because you believe for the next 6 or 7 weeks, the Kiwi yen will fall. And if you're right, wouldn't you make money depending on the decisions you make on that? Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. If you believed honestly that was happening based on the research that you did, wouldn't you sell lower highs? Wouldn't you take a profit on lower lows? Or add another one on the next lower high? And wouldn't you start creating targets on weekly and monthly pivots? Wouldn't you? And that's what we're aiming for, isn't it? All right, retail sales 0.3. It's not that great. It's a bit disappointing. Well, good thing we're at a place where you're supposed to get out. Peter, hang on, let's see. Peter says, would you recommend trying to start a trading mastermind group to do things like develop a bias? Maybe. Oh my gosh, just lost my chart. Something on Windows just told it to shut all the windows. Sorry, hang on. You went away. There we go. No, that's my. That's where I'm going to be eating my meals when I'm at Harvard. That's the dining hall. You know the interesting thing about that? That's the dining hall for freshmen. Only freshman students are there, but while I'm there at summer school, they use that as the main dining hall for all the summer school students. That's just the first year student dining hall. Now, when I was 19 and 20, I did go to university. We didn't have that. Did your university have that? I'm like, what? So anyways, that's what I do for my vacation, right? That's what I do on my vacation. I work. Yeah. So anyways, look at that, dollar coming down as he'd stink. Once again, remember, at the beginning of the week, we suggested that the monthly R2, weekly R2 at 114.09 would likely be a top. Went about 20 pips higher, double topped, and then dropped. Maybe this has to do with a little extra price action. Maybe people calculated the monthly pivots differently or the weekly pivots differently. I don't know. Hard to say, but it's all about the same. But typically what happens if you're just doing weekly analysis, right? Or let me ask my swing traders. If you hit the weekly target on a Tuesday, what's your expectation for the rest of the week? Back to the central pivot. Yep. So you just need your double top and drop idea, right? Typically, it'll do the double top like you see here, or it'll do something like, it's not really how I want to draw it. Maybe like this. It like a lower low, lower high, lower low versus the double top and drop, but it's all the same thing. Well, Anthony, I haven't observed that. So you also have to remember, Anthony. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm self-taught. I mean, it's the truth. I'm self-taught. Self-taught. It's crazy, huh? So I just haven't observed anything different than the pivot. And if it gets to the central pivot, it doesn't seem to, like, if you look at it for years, when it does do that, sometimes it goes right through it, sometimes it bounces, sometimes it kind of gets there, sometimes it doesn't quite. But it's the idea that on Tuesday you're done with the long. You know what I mean? That's the point. You're like, hold your horses. It's like full stop on Tuesday. When we hit this, chow, full stop, maybe a reverse, right? But I'm not like, we don't have these sort of conversations where I say, well, I don't know, it's been so bullish lately, maybe it'll go higher, maybe this can go to 120. My God, how about the guys on TV, right? This is the end of the yen. This is going to go to 120, 125. No, it's just like, whoa, 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 up. Cash out, walk away, take a break, take a walk. And I think that's the most important part of the analysis. Do I know if it's going to come down? No. Do I know if it's going to reverse? No. Do I know if it's going to make a higher high? No. So what do I know? We're at weekly and monthly R2, you take profit. That's all I know. And remember when I said you need discipline? Most people think That means discipline to take a loss. But only amateurs are losing most of the time, right? So if you're a professional trader, what's the discipline that's required? Well, A, wait for the setup. But B, get out when you're supposed to get out. Even if it's went up and up and up and up and up. Take profit. That's hard, man. You're like, dude, just made a ton of pips. Like imagine in 2 days you made all these pips. You're like, wow. Yeah, good. Get out. Oh, but go up to 115. Yeah, Mike. Get out. Get out. Get out here. Okay? Sometimes it does this, right? But notice how it gapped that day, you see? So that's an unusual, right? Not your normal kind of week. Okay? Play the normal. See, the normal here is sell here, take profit here. Oh, look, it went lower. Really? Do you think at the end of the year, you'll go back and say, damn, I left all that on the table? Remember, these are high-risk pips. Maybe you don't trade high-risk pips. You just don't trade them. You're like, yeah, that was improbable. But what it does predict is a counter trend, doesn't it? Well, did it counter trend after that point? Well, the damn thing reversed. Okay? And then, of course, I'll remind you, and then we'll end it there. We knew somewhere in the month of April, the yen pairs may go up. And we talked about it 6, 8, 9 months in advance, 2 years in advance, really, 3 years in advance, 5 years in advance. And what would create that potential change in trend, fundamentally speaking? Why is that predictable? Like, the fact that it did it is irrelevant. Why was it predictable? What's your takeaway? What do you remember? What did you store in the gray matter between your ears? Because that's all that matters. Fiscal year end for the Japanese. Right? And imagine CFOs of Japanese companies, some are trying to repatriate money before the end of the year, being April 1st, the fiscal year end, right? So some CFOs want to bring money in before the 1st, so March 31st, right? And some CFOs want to bring money back to Japan after the 1st because they're going to book it in a different year. So it's just an accounting phenomenon. And over that course of a couple of weeks, because I don't know how long it takes these guys. Do they do it the second it happens? Do they have to have some meetings? Do they need a board requirement? How fast does Mitsubishi make the decision to bring money home? Is it the April 3rd? Is it April 10th? Is it April 7th? I mean, how am I supposed to know? And Toyota and Honda and all this stuff, right? But at some point, the flow ends because everyone that wanted to act, acts. So somewhere, I don't know, a couple weeks, didn't we discuss this? I don't know, a couple weeks into April, the yen strength could diminish. And look at that. Looks like this week, lots of repatriation. This week, repatriation is kaputt, as they say in Japan. Hi, is kaputt, hi. Wow, that sounded German too, huh? Wow. My Japanese, German, Spanish accent, terrible. Thank God I'm beautiful. I survive on my good looks. So, peace on earth, may the pips be with you, may your profits be above average. And you have a fantastic weekend in your 5-star hotel, listening to your 48 hours of trader history, trader banter. Paul Tudor Jones talks about because he grew up in New Orleans, and he goes into a guy's office. He's a cotton trader, needs a job, and he sits down with this old trader, and the trader says, "I'm losing a ton of money right now." He's in a bad trade, just losing, right? And Paul is aware of this, and all of a sudden, two old ladies come in. They're his clients that have money invested. And he just sits there, and he's cool and calm and gracious, just talks about the weather and the grandkids. And meanwhile, Paul knows that, like, the guy's freaking out and stressing out, but he handled it with grace. So Paul, at the end, says, "Wow, you handled that very well. What made you so relaxed?" The guy leaned forward and gave Paul Tudor Jones the advice of his life that helped Paul Tudor Jones go on to become a mega millionaire, one of the most famous traders in the world. Wouldn't it be nice if you knew what that advice was? Have a nice weekend. See you Monday. Thank you again for being a client to TradersWay.com. And if you haven't opened an account yet, then shame on you. Honestly, your mother would be disappointed. Okay? See you Monday. Ciao.